Hello official Strongman, I'm Luke Richardson. Today I'm going to be kind of just talking through briefly my log progression and what I've maybe done to help get better at log, because my log has come on a lot, as you'll see in this video. When I first started Strongman, obviously coming across from powerlifting, we don't do any sort of overhead element, not directly in training anyway, we only want as an assistant exercise. So I did over a press every 2 weeks, and none of the numbers were anything that represented that being a strongman was a good idea or that overhead would ever be a good event for me. But when I did my first log press session in the gym, I think I did a bit of a sketchy 140 log. It was about 140, 142. My first competition at OSG Europe's in 2019, it was a 140 log for reps. And because I'd absolutely gone to death on the deadlift before, I cleaned a 140 log and it felt like fucking 300, and I went to press it and I ended up just balancing it on my head for a few seconds and then just failing it, trying to lock it out off my head and then being told that I'm not allowed to do that, and then just going for attempt after attempt, missing, probably failing the clean sometimes as well, just an absolute shithouse. So and then I went away and I started working on my log more, but I think the problem is that I still had sort of all the things that you sort of associate with a powerlifter: really tight pecs, tight lats, just not the sort of trap stability or shoulder stability to hold a log overhead. So unfortunately, the next time I got to Britain's Strongest Man, which is where there was a log ladder from 120 to 180, I'd been doing okay in training, but again, locked out reps were like locked out, but they weren't solid. It's not like I could stand there forever. I could probably stand there for a second or two and then I'd be like dying to drop it, because I'm not actually stabilizing the log. It's not over the center of my mass, and it's basically just wanting to go back down to the earth. So I ended up doing the 120, the 140, and then getting to the 160 log, which was getting up towards being a big log for me at the time. And I failed that 3 times in a row. Couldn't lock it out and stabilise it.
His biggest concern here today was coming in and being a little nervous because he's not used to this massive crowd, this level of competition.
Held long enough at the top. He can do this.
I kind of got in this place in my head where log was just always going to be a bad event for me, because technically I wasn't very good at it either, which is something that I really struggled with, because I quite pride myself on being technically good at the majority of things that I sort of pick up, and I get technically good at them quite quickly. But obviously log was just one of them that was going to take a bit more time. And then the next time I did log in a competition was at Europe's Strongest Man in 2020 at Allerton Castle. And at that comp I did a 170 log, but again, before I did the 170 log, I pressed it and then fell over with it because I couldn't stabilise it overhead. So although I was getting stronger and I was getting more stable and more comfortable with holding things overhead, I still wasn't like technically in a place where I felt like I was repetitive and that every rep was the same. I just don't feel like I'd had that time sort of under the log yet. But then Worlds, just a complete 180 flip. My Worlds training, I did a 181 strict log, so that was a PB log regardless of push press or not. I did a 181 strict log. I did 155 for 8 reps in the gym, with more in the tank, but 155 for 8 reps in a 75-second time period. Then I went to Worlds and I beat log pressers like Robert Oberst, who was an ex-American log press record holder, and Parr, who'd pressed 180 at Europe 6 weeks before. I beat him as well, and Jerry Pritchett obviously beat me. He had a phenomenal performance on the log. But what I'm trying to say is that I think the reason that my log got so much better from Europe's to Worlds, especially because that was the real night and day difference in such a short period of time. Really working on getting comfortable lifting the log, which meant lifting log press twice a week, strict and push press. Also just absolutely, going hell for leather on it and just doing rep after rep after rep, floor to overhead. I think you see a lot of people always just working off their chest. And I know people have mixed views, some people have good cleans and bad presses, so they work from the chest, but I always just think, it's not going to hurt going from the floor every time. You're able to recover from it if I am. So just that repetitive, just ingraining that solid motor pattern in you all the time of just doing it right until the point that you can't do it wrong anymore. I went to Worlds and I just felt like I was in the gym because I was just lifting a log. It was just like I was lifting a log in the gym. So I feel like I've got to a place now in my log press where, you know, I do think I could be comfortably over 200 by the end of this year in competition. And, you know, I just feel like technically in a place I'm good with it. I've got all the mobility I need to do it, and now I can just focus on bringing up the strength element rather than worrying about the technical aspects of it as well. Fucking them dead hangs are absolute gold dust. Dead hangs, you know, dead hangs, which is something Shane, my coach at MST, he programs for me before every pressing day, and it's something that I do usually before every training day because it makes my back feel good as well. So basically I get straps, and whether I'm doing a log day I'll hang neutral, or if I'm doing an axle day I'll hang pronated. But just literally with completely locked out arms hanging off it for 2 sets of 60 seconds, it just opens up your pecs, opens up your lats, you know, and just gets all that free moving so that you've got the mobility to, you know, get the shoulders over your head comfortably so you're not always fighting to keep them there, they're not always trying to come down. The next thing would be just, you know, practicing shoulder stability stuff and doing them sort of drills so that you know how it feels to have like stable shoulders, and sort of feeling that when you're log pressing as well, not letting your upper trap be dominant, you know, making sure that you're keeping your shoulder blades pinned back and down and letting your actual, you know, your whole trap, your lower trap as well do a bit of the work. Yeah, as well as that and just doing more reps and getting technically better. It doesn't matter, it didn't really matter to me how strong I got because unfortunately I could never actually fulfill my strength potential because I was never able to show it because of either a technical issue or, you know, a stability issue or something like that. So it didn't matter how strong I was. Whereas I feel like I'm in a place now where as my strength goes up, my log will go up, and that'll just be the way it is. So thank you for watching this video on my log progression here on Official Strongman. If you'd like to give me a like so that all my hard work was for nothing and that, you know, you enjoyed watching my log get better, then that'd be nice. Leave a comment, you know, just what you liked about the video. If there's any questions, I'll try and answer them on my Official Strongman account, and keep subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.